gonna get flag breakers now? I is too young to be a boy, mother. Can I get some boy abortion?
Dinosaur 2000 is a Walt Disney animated feature film that tells a story about Aladar and his lemur family joining a herd of herbivores going to the nesting grounds in order to live a peaceful life and to escape carnivorous dinosaurs along the way. Like many of you, I watched the first teaser trailer as my introduction to this film. I wasn't born when the movie came out in theaters, but I was able to catch the trailer in a Tarzan VHS I had back when I was much younger. In fact, I still think I have a lot of those old VHSs right now in my closet. I have to look at that some other time for nostalgia purposes. But I remember watching that trailer so many times that I was enamored with it. Like, my jaw always dropped whenever the Carnotaur came out of the trees and everything. It was just a great teaser. And that showcases the first 5 minutes of the film, which is just dinosaurs being dinosaurs, and we follow an egg travel through a river and onto the beak of a pterosaur that takes it over a valley of dinosaurs and over the seas to the lemur island. Like, that entire sequence was just amazing. The visual storytelling on display here, with just us focusing on these dinosaurs acting like dinosaurs, was honestly incredible. Those first 5 minutes left a really good impression. It was almost like the first 5 minutes of Jurassic World Dominion, when it started off with just dinosaurs being dinosaurs, and you could tell that that movie may have took a lot of inspiration from this in terms of how it wants to open with these creatures and treat them like actual animals. But like Dominion, after that it seems to go on a bit of a rocky road, because once we are introduced to the lemurs, the CGI doesn't look as polished nowadays. It doesn't look as good, and the lemur family, while some of the family members are fine, like the mother, father, but the son and daughter, they leave a lot to be desired. But they did serve a purpose, at least in the first act, when we see Aladar grow up. But once the comet hits their island, I feel like the movie should have gotten rid of the lemur family. The movie decides to keep Aladar's lemur family alive and leave all the lemurs that lived in the island to die. I feel like storytelling wise, it would have been a lot more impactful, especially after a beautiful courtship in that lemur island before the meteor disaster. It would have been even more tragic if Aladar's entire home and entire family that he grew up with passed away in the collision. And I feel like leaving Aladar alone to wander the desert and get attacked by dinosaurs not only would leave a lot more room for more visual storytelling, just have us focus on a dinosaur just walking around looking for what he could find as food, or a herd of herbivores, which he eventually does find. I feel like the movie would have been a lot better if it's just him alone in that regard, but it decides to leave the lemur family. And I feel like after that, while they do serve as support for the characters, including Bruton later on, when we discover his character arc, and we learn a lot about that character and how the mother lemur is emphasizing a lot of stuff that's going on within his heart and mind. Like that bit of dialogue there I really like, but as a whole you could have cut them out of the film and not a lot would change, and whatever need to change could be easily fixed with a quick rewrite. So just getting rid of the lemur family I feel like would have cut down the cast a bit more, have us focus more on a lot of the other dinosaurs that we need to focus on, like Baleen or Ema and the older dinosaurs that are in that group. I feel like if we got a lot more characterization with them, then a lot of their scenes together would have felt a little bit more natural. They don't feel like just plot devices. And I feel like the lemur family just takes up a lot of screen time from that. And that's my major issue with the film. As for the rest of the story, after the meteor collision, we follow Aladar as he discovers his herd, and Crone and Bruton, we learn, are the leaders of that herd. They are very hard-headed, while Aladar is soft-spoken, and their two worldviews collide. And so Aladar is having to challenge them at times in order to help all the other dinosaurs, because their point of view, only the strongest will survive. And we see throughout this entire journey that the strongest do survive most of the time. A lot of the weaker dinosaurs are left behind to die, and we do see a lot of dead corpses here, and a lot of the velociraptors are hunting him down, while two carnivores are also on their tail, driven from their home from the meteor too. I really like these guys. They felt threatening, they felt badass, they really earned their title as horned devils, and including their pretty accurate design. I have to say, with the roar itself being scary, like that roar always scared me as a kid. These are some of my favorite carnivorous antagonists I've seen in any film. They were scary, they were intimidating, they take a lot of damage, and really pose a genuine threat to our main characters. The cave scene, in which all of our characters, including Bruton, are having to sit through because they were left behind by Crone's group. The carnivores attack them. And that entire sequence there was awesome. I love that little action bit there. Their growls, the way they just drag Aladar away from the group, it's just amazing. They were incredible antagonists here. And I really like the character of Bruton too. We see him be more like Crone in the beginning of the film. Then later on, we see that after he gets attacked by a group of carnivores by surprise, he then heads to Crone to warn everybody. But like all the other weaklings, he gets left behind himself and is taken by Aladar. And at first he doesn't accept that, but eventually does come around to it, which gives us a bit more characterization with him, as his entire worldview has now been challenged here. And he sees that his way of thinking might have been wrong, so he then sacrifices himself in the cave to protect Aladar and it, which gives him time to make it to the nesting grounds throughout this cave, through the cave really. I really like his arc. It's very simple really, but it worked very well to help progress Aladar's story further, as now he has more of a motivation to try and help everyone, including the people that Crone is leading to the nesting grounds. And that leads us to an amazing climax in which Crone and Aladar have a bit of a small sparring session where they challenge each other. And note that I barely mentioned Nira. She felt like an obligatory relationship type character for Aladar to have a love interest for. She doesn't really have that much character. Again, she's another character that they could cut out and not much would change. Now, there's moments where we try to focus on her, and they're generally nice moments, and the voice actress is doing a good job, but yeah, this movie doesn't really do a good job with this character, and I feel like she took up a bit too much screen time as well. But the whole fight with Crone and Aladar stops. The herd follows Aladar, but then we see that the herd has now been cornered by the Carnotaurs. And this entire sequence, I remember watching it a lot as a kid. The setting, the ambiance, and the fact that we get a wide shot of the valley of the gorge, really, where the Carnotaur is small there. But man, once it pops out and looks at everyone, it just always creeped me out. This design, the way it sounds, and how it moves. I wish we would have gotten more stuff like this nowadays. It's like shit like this needs to be put on to more children-based films. I know it's like a bit scary, but this was during a time when Disney villains felt like Disney villains, like they were genuine threats. Please give us more threatening villains, Disney, like the Carnotaurs or Scar or any other villain from the Renaissance, really. And so then that leads us to Aladar being able to back off the Carnotaurs long enough for the herd to escape, but then the Carnotaur heads to Crone, tries to get him. Aladar and Nero try to save Crone, but after Aladar was able to beat the Carnotaur, it's too late. Crone dies, and he died for his own selfish reasons. He was a character that was never able to change, and Aladar had to come to terms with that. Then they make it to the nesting grounds. He had babies. He makes some creepy CGI faces, and the movie ends on a positive note. There are a few problems here. Not all the CGI effects worked very well and were pretty dated, mostly due to the facial features being more humanistic on Aladar, and we get a lot of close-ups with that, and it doesn't always look that good. A lot of characters here felt like they were not needed for the story, apart from adding to the growing cast list that you need, but they do not really feel that important, and if you would have cut them out, you would have given more characterization to other characters that would be more important to the story. It's also a tiny bit predictable with it following the story of Moses, and that story structure at many points in the film, mostly in the second act of the movie, it just felt way too basic and simplified in that regard. And I guess that's most of my major problems, really. It's just a pretty basic, predictable film with a few iffy CGI effects here and there, and a bit too many characters. But all in all, I still really like it. I still like some of the other characters, like Aladar and his journey. Crone and Bruton were really interesting antagonists. Like, they were not villains, they just posed an opposite worldview for Aladar to try and overcome. The nature and settings of this movie looked absolutely beautiful. The cinematography and production design was amazing. I love the use of real locations mixed in with CGI effects. While the dinosaurs are all CGI and it doesn't look always good, the background effects not only look amazing, but a lot of the dinosaurs like Baleen or Ema, or some of the other iguanodons and other dinosaurs that don't have facial humanistic features, they look amazing still to this day. I will say that 25% of the film CGI doesn't hold up well, but the other 75 work amazing. Even today, it looks even better than most movies today. Even the Carnotaurs look absolutely incredible. The amazing meteor scene was just so tense-filled. A lot of the more dramatic action moments here, where we just focus on the Carnotaurs' attacks, is always felt brutal. The opening scene I cannot say it enough. It is a great introduction to the film to set the entire tone. James Newton Howard's score, I still find myself humming and going back to it many points in my life. Even the other day I was listening to the soundtrack and it still sounded just as incredible as it did back in 2000. Overall, Dinosaur 2000 is a movie that doesn't always work. It has a few problems here and there, but overall, I still find myself enjoying the movie for what it's trying to be. It's not trying to be high cinema. It was just trying to tell an enjoyable story with dinosaurs. And I also like how it decided to choose pretty unknown dinosaurs. There's a few known dinosaurs here and there, but a lot of these creatures were not that popular until this movie came out. The Iguanodon, the Carnotaurs, they were popular right after this film, and those designs are ingrained into your memories, I bet. I still really enjoy Dinosaur 2000, and I'm going to give it a B. Thank you guys so much for watching. Please leave a like, subscribe, comment, and I will see you guys next time.